Hi everyone, welcome back to the final episode of the Canary Room in Season 4. So it is our final episode of 2021, a year that's seen ups and downs and highs and lows. The good news, well, I hope it's good news, is I will of course be back in 2022 with Season 5 of the Canary Room. Keep an eye out on Facebook to see when that episode, the first episode of Season 5, will be out. So my thanks to everyone who has accommodated us on our on-the-road trips this year. We've been to see Terry Kelly, we've been to see Bernard Williams, of course we've been to see Keith, Donald Skinner Reid, we've been to see Shane, we've been to Richard Knowles and the London Fancy. That's been an incredibly popular episode. We spent time with Nick and Annalane Barrett and Glenn Arif. My thanks to everyone who has accommodated us on the roads this year. Been an absolute pleasure to make, and by all accounts you seem to have enjoyed them too. While I'm thanking people, thank you everyone who's donated to the channel. Mike Burling, Mike, you're a legend, but you know that. Or if you don't, I'm just telling you now, you are a legend, mate. Thank you for all of your support throughout the year. To John Martin, Johnny, thank you. Sort the shirts out, mate, for your channel. Canary TV, shout out for John. He's launched his own channel of late. And also a massive thanks to Finbar Robinson. Thanks, Finbar. Appreciate your donation. While I'm thanking, well, another thank you to Michael Mate Shane at Direct Bird Products. Shane has sent us another kind Christmas gift. So amongst other things in there, I'm just going to get them out of shot, are these sort of fantastic Fife training cages. Really nicely. He's really pleased with them. Clean bottom on them, and they come apart so they're easy to clean, so we'll be using those for trainers. Training cages. Shane's also sent on some show cage bags. They're on his site now. Really handy for trebles and 5 and 6 cages as well, so much appreciated. Coming up today, well, we're gonna take a trip to the Midlands. So we got an on-the-road trip to the Midlands show. Had the pleasure in judging that. We're gonna have a little look at the Fifes and some of the birds that we've selected for next year. Although we'll use episode 1 to talk about how we've got there. We'll look at some of the natives. The natives you can possibly see behind me. They're getting ready, getting settled for 2022 breeding season. And we'll catch up with the Norwich as well. Plenty to look forward to. And a brief correction to make. So, the last episode when we looked at all the shows, I mentioned that the Greenfinch at Walsall was Lawson and Wells. Theirs was actually the Canary Bully. And so Kevin Taylor took best Greenfinch there. So apologies, Kev, for that, but happy to correct myself. As always, everyone, grab yourself a cuppa, sit back and enjoy the show. It's been a while since we've been in the Canary Room. I know the last episode we were in here for a short while, and quick check over my shoulder. We've got some plans, and as always, we evaluate what's gone well in the season, what hasn't gone well, what do we need to change, what do we need to develop. And what I've done is I've installed a significantly bigger dehumidifier. We can see from the shot here the mornings now. I mean, beautiful mornings to look at, absolutely beautiful. But the frost is in now, and that can mean that there's an extra moisture in the air and dampness. Really, although the room is insulated, dampness won't do the birds any good. So we've got the sort of dehumidifier that's on a timer to come on. We've got the air purifier, which has been in for some time now, and that just sort of purifies and recirculates the air. And we've got a small heater in. Now, it's not putting out any real heat in here. it's taking the chill off the room, which is a bit more comfortable on those very cold mornings to come into. So I've made a decision to, we got all the plastic cages last year, and I'm absolutely thrilled with the plastic cages, absolutely delighted with them. But I made the decision to change the fronts. Now, two things really driven the decision. Firstly is I have invested in some of the show cage training hooks that we saw when we were in Keith's. So DS Birds, I bought 10 of those for next year. And whilst I'm sure they would have sat okay on the fronts that we've got in, I'm a little bit concerned. So I know that they'll work really well with the punch bar fronts. So I've got new punch bar fronts for the cages. And the second reason that I've changed over is because I've been using a pigeon mix, a pigeon bath salts essentially in the water. And it's rusted some of the cage fronts a little bit too quickly for my liking. So I could strip them down, but I've just decided to replace them. So those are some of the changes that we've made in preparation for 2022. There will be a couple of new flights built as well, so I'll make sure I film those. Before we see some of the other changes, well, let's go on the road. Let's go out to our last show of the season where I had the pleasure to judge. It was the Midlands show. Morning all, beautiful morning. See, sun is shining in my eyes. Judging the Midland today, really good show, the Midland. Looking forward to it. I'll get some shots of the winning birds. Catch up with you later. So, as we hit December, it's all about planning for next year. The birds that are going to leave the room have left the room. So, we've had some of the Norwich that we bred find new homes. We've had some of the Redpolls we bred find new homes. The Siskins we bred have found new homes. The Goldfinches have found new homes. And of course, the Fifes, the Irish. In fact, there's been an awful number of birds that have left the room. So we've got a little bit more space here, which is great. There have been some new arrivals. No new species. We've got some Siskins in. We've got a linnet hen in to go with the linnet cock. We've got a couple more native goldfinches in. So no new species as such. Although the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed in the top corner a couple of hybrids that we've been gifted along the way. So we have a Goldie linnet hybrid. I think it's possibly a hen, which will be useful for us in the season. And then we've got this absolute beast. You have seen this bird before, you just haven't seen him in my room. It's a Northern Goldie Bully hybrid. Sensational bird. My thanks to Shane for that. Incredibly generous, just a thing of beauty to look at. So that's here to admire. And then in terms of the plans next year, well, we've got, looking at the Fifes to start with, we're gonna aim to run with a number of pairs next year. Now, I don't normally breed pairs of birds. I will be next year, and part of the main reason of that is work commitments. The cinnamon line, which we'll have a little look at today, includes 4 straight pairs. Now, the first pair that we can see is a carrier cock bird, so it's split for cinnamon and a cinnamon buff hen. And those birds are half brother and half sister. They're out of the same cock bird. The second pair we'll see is a reverse of that pair. So it's a cinnamon buff cock and a blue hen. And again, they're half brother, half sister. And that first pairing there, the 2 non-visual cinnamon birds are the same way bred, and the 2 cinnamon birds are the same way bred. So there's a closeness in there, but there's enough genetic diversity in there. Part of the thinking behind maintaining and keeping a visual cinnamon buff hen is that, a visual cinnamon buff cock, is that all of the visual birds off that pairing will be hens. All of the non-visual birds will be carrier cocks. So those are the first 2 pairings. The second 2 pairings, again, are the same. So this time we've got a carrier cock, a variegated buff carrier cock bird, and that's with a fawn hen. And they're cousins, those birds. And again, the same pairing, although this time it's a fawn cock and a variegated yellow hen. Those birds are cousins. Now, as with the previous pair, the 2 visual cinnamon birds, in this case fawns, are brother and sister, and the 2 non-visual cinnamon birds in these pairings are brother and sister. So there's a nice genetic pool in there, there's a nice stamp, there's a nice quality. So there's 4 straight pairs, and then there's the over-year fawn hen. Now she's looking a little bit on the tired side at the moment, so we'll see if she overwinters. If she does, we might get a round out of her, we might not. In terms of the Fifes overall, then I'll be running with 20 Fife cock birds next year, and around about 28 to 30 Fife hens. Now, that's going to take up a lot of the room in the canary room. It's certainly going to take up this bank of cages behind me. But that's the plans. It's been a very good season. Fife-wise, I have got a couple of yellow hens that came in. They're from the Abbott and Nicholson partnership. They were a swap that I did. So I'll run those as a sort of separate project and see what we get from them, see how well they gel with my birds. But my own birds, as we can see in the cages behind me, the hens are all in flight cages now, the cocks are in doubles and singles, so they're just molting out over the year. Inevitably, particularly with the clear yellows, there's a couple I'm not quite sure about. But what would the fun be in the canary room if we couldn't sex birds properly? That's our Fifes. We'll see more of the selection, we'll see more of the pairings together in season 5 of the Canary Room. It's time now for the Native Diaries. So native-wise, well, I've had some decisions to make with the natives this year, and, you know, as always, I haven't ducked those decisions. I've decided to move on the Siberian goldfinches. Heavy-hearted in doing so, because I do like goldfinches. But I've decided to move them on. I had a pair here, And, really, you're looking for a couple of pairs of birds to be able to do things seriously. So they've moved to a new home. In their place have been some native goldfinches. Now, at the moment, we've got a couple of pairs. There's 2 cocks and 2 hens in there. They've been fragile, these birds. They are fragile goldies generally. 1 minute they're fantastic, and then the next minute they're puffed up. So we'll see with the goldies whether we can keep at least a pair for the breeding season. They have the same really good diet. I've got wild teasel in there. I have run a baycox through them just to try and clear out any bugs. But the stress is one of the things that will kill goldies the most. And after the storms that we had, that seems to have really brought stress onto them. So in terms of our natives for next year, for the 2022 breeding programme, well, we've got a pair of linnets. Now, in all likelihood, the linnets will go out either in the flight outside or in one of the big flights in our new room. We've got a couple of pairs of very nice normal siskins. So the mutation siskins that we had, we've moved on. We've got a couple of pairs of unrelated siskins, very nice birds, really nice markings, particularly on the hens. So looking forward to seeing what they do. And then from a native bullfinch perspective, well, we've got 4 pairs of native bullfinches now, indebted to Shane and Ollie and Andy Barr for their help in there. We've got a really nice cockbird here off Ollie to go with one of the hens that we bred, and another one went in Ollie's direction. So we've got 4 pairs of native bullies. Now what I've done is I've put them in their pairs already. So I've paired them up, I've put them in their pairs so they'll overwinter together. Hopefully they'll bond, and we'll see how they get on next year. There'll be lots of heartache with the natives, there always is. And the final thing then really to focus on is the poles. Now, I've kept 4 pairs of poles. I've kept a pair of cobalt red poles, and then I've got 3 pairs of pied red poles. So I'm interested to see what happens with them. In terms of the sort of the breeding programme and the configuration of the back wall, I think probably the siskins might go in flight cages to breed. The red poles might stay in these cages to breed. The goldfinches might go into flight cages. I'm not certain yet. Much will depend on what overwinters and how successfully it overwinters, of course. But something to look forward to watching. At least I hope something to look forward to watching. That's our native diaries. Time now for the Norwich Notebook. So you might be able to see this little chap behind me in the cage. Well, it's not that little actually. He's an unflighted bird. One of 3 cockbirds that we bought in from Keith this year. This is a really nice unflighted buff cockbird. Just behind me in the cage there is a very nice yellow Norwich cock, and we've got another buff Norwich cock as well. So our plan for 2022 is to pair together 6 pairs of Norwich, and that's very much the sort of the plan. They'll be in these double cages. The hens at the moment, well, they're enjoying a little bit of egg food. They're in one of the flight cages at the moment. They've just got a bit more room in there. They've got a bit more height in there as well, which is important. So they've got a bit of egg food on there at the moment. They will get... you can see we've got one of the homebred birds, the DNA sexing that we did in a previous episode. Well, that came back with, let's say, disastrous results of the 5 Norwich that we bred. 4 of them were males, so 4 were cocks, and we only had 1 hen, which was, a smidge frustrating. But what it has meant is that we bought another couple of hens in. We got a white hen in from the Jones and Roberts partnership. And then Shane very kindly gave us a buff head as well. So we've got a couple of whites for next year. I believe one of the whites that we've got, which is a variegated white, is also a cinnamon carrier. So that will be interesting to see what that throws. We might get some fawn Norwich, which will be fascinating. I don't care what colour they are as long as they're good, and they should be based on how they're bred. So Norwich, lots to look forward to. Really enjoyed Keith's company and delighted with the quality of the birds that I've been managed to acquire this year. So, as I say, the initial plan, 6 pairs of Norwich for 2022. And to help with the rearing of them, we will use some of the Fifes. We'll use some of the Fifes as pairs. That's part of the thought process behind that. But we'll also use the Grey Wings. So the Grey Wings in New Colour Corner, they're still with us. We've got 3 pairs of Grey Wings for next year. So let the Agats go, and I let the Yellow Mosaics go. Move both of those on, simply because can't afford to keep all of the numbers of birds in here. So that's the end of 2021. All that remains for me to say is thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your words of encouragement. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell too. Thanks to everyone who's accommodated us in the Canary Room this year. We will be back, all being well, in 2022 with a new season, new features, and some of the same old heartache. Until next time, take care.